The African continent boasts a rich and diverse history, intertwined with the tragic legacy of the transatlantic slave trade spanning the 16th to 19th centuries. Millions of Africans, taken from various regions, endured enslavement and were forcibly transported to Europe and the Caribbean, leaving a dark stain on the continent's past. Amidst this somber history, the town of Janjangbureh, situated in the eastern part of the Gambia, holds profound significance.
Janjangbureh, a land with history and culture, has got different African historical things that are connected with different African cultures, especially within the Senegambia region. And from the tour of the land, you will see that there are different people that have lived and are still living on this land, representing not only Gambian, but people of different background within the African society.
This is the first time we are celebrating an existence of a town like Janjangbureh. This town has been here for 200 years this year, and that is why we are taking it upon ourselves as a nation to celebrate its existence. And the history also has some linkages with, slavery, and also the exposition of cultural things such as the masquerade, the kankurang, and other traditional activities.
It was here in 1823 that freed slaves from Europe found refuge and returned to their homeland. Since then, Janjangbureh has blossomed into an island steeped in history and culture. Its landscape is adorned with poignant reminders of its past, including the Kanguran Museum, the Fruit Tree Monument, the Slave House and Burial Site, all narrating the tales of its people.
We are at the Christian cemetery, and at Christian cemetery here, by looking here, we have graveyards that are ranging from 19th, 18th to the 19th. And these graveyards here, we believe to be the colonial masters that we are here, and also that we are serving the Wesley Mission, which is commonly as Methodists.
We are at the Freedom Tree Monument here. So this Freedom Tree Monument this is the tree. So during the colonial time, the slave masters will be here with their guns and dogs and ask the slave to run all the way from the riverside to come here and touch the tree. So they tell them, now, if any of you who happen to run and you come and touch the tree or hug the British flag standing nearby the fig tree, then you are going to be liberated as a free slave. But how are you going to be liberated as a free slave? They put metal inside the fire until when it is red hot and they burn you. How did they burn you? They put mark on your left hand or at your right hand or at your back or any part of your body like a tattoo, whereby anywhere you go, people will recommend you as a free slave and your name will be recorded in the register that you are a free slave.
Welcome to Janjangbureh Kankurang Museum, also called the Kankurang Center of Janjangbureh. In here, it is a museum. It contains a lot of masquerades, and these masquerades are found in Gambia and Senegal at large. And when you visit the Kankurang Museum, you will learn about the traditional values of all these masquerades which are found in Gambia and Senegal. So the main part of these masquerades are the Kankurang masquerade. And as we all understand that the Kankurang is a masquerade belonging to the Mandinka people found in Gambia and Senegal. And even the term or the word Kankurang is a combination of Mandinka words. meaning voice, and to enforce. So basically, the idea is to enforce the ideas of our elders down to the local people in the community level here. To come to Janjangbureh, the Kankurangs here have three main responsibilities that they serve the people with. The first one is because the Kankurang possess supernatural powers that they use to serve as a protection to the newly circumcised boys who were sent into the bush school to stay for about 2 months or more. And then also we have some types of Kankurang which possess no supernatural powers, and their responsibilities are to represent Janjangbureh at the various entertainments like the masquerade festivals in the Gambia. So the last function of a Kankurang is to maintain peace and also to control dispute among family members. The Kankurang Museum, it is also funded by the UNESCO, and in the UNESCO they have 43 masquerades in their intangible cultural heritage, and which the Kankurang is also lucky to be part of these 43 masquerades. So Janjangbureh here as a community only have 2 types of Kankurang, and as you can see, these are the only 2 you can find in the island community of Janjangbureh. The first one here is called Jamba Kankurang, and Jamba means leaves. And alongside you can see the Wuleng Wuleng. Wuleng Wuleng means the red. So the Jamba Kankurang is there to represent Janjangbureh at the various festivals in the Gambia. Likewise, the Wuleng Wuleng, which possess supernatural powers, is meant for protection of the newly circumcised boys who were sent into the bush school to stay for about 2 months or more. Here you can also see the hunting devil and the fairy. The hunting and the fairy are from the Aku people of the Gambia, and these Aku people were among the 200 liberated slaves who were sent to Sierra Leone. The Kumpo and Isamai, which are for the Jola people, and the Jolas are mostly found and seen around the west coast region of the Gambia.
As you can see from my background, these are the names of all the commissioners that have served Janjangbureh during the colonial period up to date. The first commissioner that served here is, you can see from the number, it's Captain Pasiwine White. So these are the people that have served here as governors or commissioners during the colonial period and have worked with many people that have visited the island during those periods. Janjangbureh is not only the land of history, but also culture, as you can see from the previous footages. The Janjangbureh is also the home of Kankurang. Not only that, the Janjangbureh is the home of liberated slaves. So as you can see, Janjangbureh is very unique, and there is a lot to do and see within the town. We have a lot of historical sites, a lot of tourism products that we are currently marketing to have many visitors as possible. Like, for example, of the kayaking, the hiking trails for nature lovers, because Janjangbureh and the people of Janjangbureh believe that we are surrounded by nature, both the river and that of the forest.
To honor the bicentenary anniversary of the liberated African slaves' return, dignitaries from across Africa and beyond convened in Janjangbureh on January 6, 2024 for a series of commemorative events. This included ceremonies, a symposium, and a trade fair. The opening ceremony held at the mini stadium in Janjangbureh was graced by leaders from various African nations, such as the Prime Minister of Senegal, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, and the President of the ECOWAS Court, alongside ministers and guests from the Greater Banjul area and beyond.
It is my honor to declare the Janjangbureh Bicentenary Festival officially open.
President Adama Barrow of the Gambia articulated the festival's objective to celebrate hope, growth, and unity, transcending past despair, stagnation, and intolerance.
We are in this historic town, therefore, to celebrate its bicentenary on an island where hope was restored. Captured Africans who were unjustly seized, unjustly treated, and unjustly removed from their homeland and families without any regard for their rights and dignity. On account of this, it is with mixed feelings that we have organized this historic festival to remember the events of the mid-19th century. Because of the cruel acts of that dark era, Africans have been forced to demand reparations from those who took part in the transatlantic slave trade. Excellencies, distinguished guests, it is a welcome development that the African Union, the United Nations, and some African countries have already started to ask for reparations. The Gambia will seize the McCarthy Island bicentenary celebration to use its diplomatic, intellectual, and cultural advantage to promote reparations agenda.
Under the theme Celebrating Homecoming and Our Heritage, distinguished speakers, including Her Majesty's Tourism and Culture Minister, Amat Bah, Central River Region Governor Ousmane Bah, and Senegalese Prime Minister Amadou Bah, emphasized the significance of the occasion.
Le Sénégal et la Gambie étant un seul peuple, une même culture, partageant la même histoire, je viens ici, par devoir de mémoire, célébrer avec vous ce festival qui commémore l'une des pires tragédies de l'histoire de l'humanité.
We were at a meeting with my various agencies of the Ministry of Tourism and the ministry itself when I brought the idea on the table and floated the idea for people to consider the possibility of the Gambia hosting and celebrating the return of slaves in Janjangbureh.
It is our duty to pick up the many opportunities that this celebration has created, such as the new infrastructure, the goodwill contacts, and networks created. Take this island and the region into a tourism hub for job creation as the grand intention of our icon, dedicated, hardworking, above all, very blissful President, His Excellency President Adama Barrow. The island has relics that symbolizes its rich history, such as the governor's office and its well-planned streets with names like Todo Street, Queen Street, John Street, Finlay Street, etc.
Additionally, Patricia Scotland, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, delivered a noteworthy address reflecting on the importance of commemorating Janjangbureh's bicentenary.
I do not believe that my ancestors necessarily were amongst those who came home 200 years ago. But I am here today to represent all of those who until today did not come home, were not able to come home. So it is a poignant moment for me. Through this flesh, which is us, we are you, and you are us. In this place 200 years ago, against all odds, but with defiance and purpose, slaves returned to the land they called home. In this place, where we walk in their footsteps and find the imprints of their struggle, we are reminded that we are all connected. In this place, where they sang a chorus of freedom, which overwhelmed the shackles of their enslavement and created a symphony of determination, which still resounds today.
The festivities unfolded with a grand display of Gambian cultural heritage, showcasing the vibrancy and diversity of the nation's traditions and customs.
Gambe Jile, Maromana, Gambe Jile.
We have seen what Gambia is supposed to be. We have seen what we call national cohesion. We have seen national interest. We have seen the beauty of really becoming one people, one voice, one culture, one nation. You see, these things are national events. And sometimes in all our politicking, we have to realize that we owe our people an example of what unity is, an example of what love and cohesion is. And that's how I see this thing. So today I was very, very emotional when I saw this. And you can all see that there are many, many people who have played their role to see its success.
It's a milestone in the history of our people, which is worth reflecting upon periodically so that we're able to look at our history, look at what went wrong, and see whether we can come up with remedies and work on the way forward.
This is a collaboration between all our nations, and also it's really an eye-opener for the youths to really come together and work hard. How our ancestors worked hard to build our nation up to independence and post-independence, they should continue. We have the baton with them, and they should work hard in unity.
Millions died in the transatlantic ocean of the slave trade. 55 million of us, which I represent, are the children that is owed reparations. So reparation is on the agenda. President Barr is doing the right thing. They must pay us for the greatest crime ever committed against Mother Africa.
At the symposium, discussions delved into pertinent topics of reparation, freedom, and the enduring legacy of slavery. Binta Jame Sidibe, a member of the National Organizing Committee and the chairperson of the symposium, shed light on Janjangbureh's history, highlighting its cultural diversity shaped by the return of liberated slaves from various African nations.
The settlement was renamed Makati Island, and a new settlement of liberated Africans, and this is important to note. It's a settlement of all Africans, not only Gambians, but Africans were resettled here. And they grew up becoming a success story of commerce, integration, and entrepreneurship. We have to emphasize and stress here that Janjangbureh existed before 1823. The main topics of the symposium are slavery, freedom, return, reparations, the Creole, of course, and tourism. Then we're going to discuss the homecoming, the liberation and emancipation from enslavement, industriousness, entrepreneurship, tolerance, our culture, and heritage.
Other speakers, including the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, further enriched the dialogue, offering insight into crucial aspects of the commemoration.
And I'm very pleased, in a way, to be representing those who left these shores and were not allowed to come back. So how do I know that I am Gambian? It's because I had a DNA test. And according to my DNA, I come from the Gambia. I am so proud to be returning to the Gambia for this commemoration, for this celebration, to represent all of those who were not allowed home 200 years ago, but who can come home now. And I'm extremely proud, therefore, to be the first woman to be appointed the Commonwealth Secretary General. And I hope you here in the Gambia will now know I belong to you too. The Commonwealth, as you know, now has 56 countries. The Gambia is a proud member of the Commonwealth. In those 56 countries, we have 2.5 billion people, 60% of whom are under the age of 30. So we represent about 1/3 of humanity. But it's really important for us all to remember that every single human being on this earth came from 6 people, and those people started here in Africa. So whether people like it or not, we are all Africans.
Since the 19th century, the island of Janjangbureh, also referred to in the records as Lamen Island by the British, was part of a tightly braided and an extensive network. By the 17th and the early 18th centuries, the area around Georgetown was a highly cosmopolitan place because of its connection to long-distance trade. The Upper Gambia was by this time incorporated into the European-dominated trading system or the commercial system, and later, their early British colonization efforts. The place attracted Moroccans, Syrians, Lebanese, Europeans, and a diverse group of African peoples coming from far and near, some as far as Guinea-Bissau and elsewhere. Tracing the complex connections that linked the West African Creoles to Janjangbureh and the wider local and other immigrant communities should be an important goal for future studies.
When we talk about reparation in relation to slavery, this is an old theme, reparation. It's an old topic, and we are going to see why it's an old topic. And it is also something the youth still use right now, and even our diaspora. So reparation, repatriation, and restitution, when we talk about reparation, I won't say about slavery, but let's say when we talk about reparation, when Africans and the diaspora, African diaspora talk about reparation, reparation means that we are talking about there is injustice or a prejudice, and someone has to pay it. Okay? It may be legal or civil lawsuit. So, in relation to slavery, we have to ask ourselves, what is the injustice or the prejudice we are asking to be repaired, or what is the injustice that is repairable, that they can repatriate, or that they can restitute? That's the question. Or otherwise, if I put a comma, I can say, is repatriation and restitution.
Some historians believe that the famous Bara War of 1831 and the wars in Nyomi and Badibu were largely a result of the continuation of the slave trade. So why can't we rebuild these villages and sites to tell our own version of slavery and the slave trade as a way to draw in Africans in the diaspora and those interested in the general history of slavery and the slave trade? My third point, and most importantly, is to exploit the river by centering Georgetown. To me, the river offers us the best and richest natural products to market the Gambia as a destination. No river in the world, and let me repeat that, no river in the world has 6 tributaries or junctions or intersections populated by hippos. Right? Also, there are only 2 countries in the world divided by a river, and the Gambia is one of the 2. Brothers and sisters, is this not remarkable? Imagine we craft stories around this unique opportunity, the bird species, the flora and fauna, to enhance ecotourism.
How can I find common ground in the Gambia in the 21st century? So what happened is we artists and griots and painters and writers and singers, it falls to us. And it falls to the business of government that when we create, they take it up. Because that is how we can together express who we are or what we should be in the 21st century. They call us Aku locally, and we became Creole. Aku was what became of the accuser's grandfather. after he had been taken from the banks of the River Gambia to Louisiana and brought back, perhaps via Freetown and maybe Liberia and onto Bathurst. That was how, for example, Pane became McDonald, Jallo became Mason, Jara became Owens, Jau became Roberts, Sambu became Foster, and Mane became Williams. Never forget how Kunta Kinte became Toby.
I believe, the issue of reparations should be approached holistically and in unison. This is why we want to take a stand. And New York has taken a stand, Ghana has taken a stand, some Caribbean countries have taken their stand. Now how to amalgamate, to bring together all this in various strands so that there will be a unified voice for reparations. But it's going to be a tough battle because those who enslave us are still in power. They still wield economic power. You know more than me what I mean. So we need one voice. The moment there is any amount of discordance, any indication of cacophony, the reparations project will be hampered.
The island of Janjangbureh is very symbolic, but not only that, it is also symbolic culturally. It is the island of the Kankurang, of the Wuleng Wuleng. It is also the island of culture. So today we are here because we know that in discussing these issues, in discussing slavery, in discussing culture, in discussing all these things, it makes us reflect, it makes us look at the differences that are important to note, but also that would keep binding us as a people, that will help us understand our origins, our history, and then eventually make us the people that we want to be, that is one people in this country, but most importantly, one people in this continent. Repatriation is an important part. It is opening doors for people to come back to their roots, to get to know their origins. However, when it comes to reparation, it's a much more complex question. Most of the countries that have been accused of really perpetuating slavery, notably the British and the French, notably because they are the greatest perpetrators. We know that the Spanish have played a role, etc. But the British and the French have stayed much longer into the slave routes. When reparations is mentioned, it brings a lot of very difficult debates. Because the question is, they were not the present ones are not the one who did it. So are they entitled to repair? The question is, it's not about reparation. Sometimes reparation is not only about financial. It's more about also moral recognition. To recognize the fact that slavery happened, to apologize for what it happened, to recognize it as the most horrible part of our history in this world. More horrible than any other part of history. Is the greatest genocide you can ever imagine.
When we talk about reparation, people tend to think about, slavery. And at the same time, we have issue related to colonization. So it was about what the European has taken from us. When you talk about reparation, you think about there is a prejudice that you have to pay back. So what is that prejudice? It is about the dehumanization of Africans, as well as what European has looted during the colonial period from Africans. Those are the topics we wanted to tackle here, and because those are matters, topics, that in our young generation we tend to talk about, telling the European to give us back what they have taken from Africa.
Participants reflected on the profound impact of the discussions, broadening their perspective not only on Janjangbureh, but also on the broader African continent.
The program today is very interesting because so many things we learn. We learn from history, from the speakers, including the Secretary General of Commonwealth. Today we learned a lot. And then we learn about the history of this island and how many people participate. And I am also I learn new things.
Most impressive thing for me was what I never realized, that so many people, I did know that very many people were taken from Africa as slaves, but I never realized what it makes psychologically not to know the roots, where you come from, and that was really a very impressive and touching speech from this lady from the Commonwealth, from the secretary, and also the question about reparation. That was also very, very interesting for me. Who gets there? Because this is a big thing in Europe as well. We're discussing this in the news and in the medias, and how hard it is to decide and see what is the criteria. And so that was very, very interesting.
The culminating trade fair provided an opportunity for attendees to access Gambian-made products at discounted rates. Local traders and entrepreneurs showcased a diverse array of goods ranging from clothing and footwear to artisanal crafts and refined products.
I have come to participate in this trade fair because I have never experienced it. Someone tell me about it and I say let me go and participate because it is very important. This government have made us a big opportunity.
I decided to join the trade fair in order to come out and support our nation. This is a very good initiative. I am happy to come out and show our culture with the things we sell.
So glad to be here, and then I feel like we all Gambians and we all need to contribute to the national development, and that is why I am here to showcase, to display some of my products and to have connection with people, to network and then meet new people so that I can be able to expand my business.
The success of the bicentenary anniversary underscores its significance in preserving the cultural heritage and history of the Black race. It serves as a testament to Africa's resilience as it confronts its past while forgoing a path towards a prosperous future.